Tom Brady. To me, that was one of the keys to the game, is that even though it was a defensive matchup and the Patriots had struggled scoring, they still didn't get to Brady enough to give him any worries when it comes down to the end of the game. And it just felt like when you got into that fourth quarter, I texted you, this just feels like a Patriots win.
Yeah, it felt like what we watched with the Chiefs, that, okay, they just letting him hang around. He's going to make a drive and get him in position to win the game. And that's what he did. And you can't take anything away from the Rams. They only gave up 13 points in this game. So they played really well. They just couldn't stop Edelman and just didn't make the stop late in the game on the play. He dropped it into Gronk on really at that point. And it just felt like, I know Edelman's a tough guy to cover because they can move him around. He can run a lot of those option routes. It just felt like, okay, he's got all these catches in the first half. Like, we got to come up with something to do. We got to get up on him. We got to jam him at the line, just kill their timing, do something to give our line a chance to even get to Brady, where he can't just stand back there and in 2 seconds he's getting the ball out to a wide open Edelman. Where I felt like the Patriots defense, I mean, they got after Goff. I mean, they knocked Goff around in that game. They put him on his backside.
4 sacks.
Yeah.
31-yard loss.
And not just the sacks, but just the hits and the rushes. Even the interception that Goff had at the end, it felt like there was a free rusher.
Oh, gosh.
And he just made a bad throw at that point. He just shorted the throw and threw it right to Gilmore. It looked like a punt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably the easiest interception that Stephon Gilmore will ever have at that point. So it really felt like the Patriots just had a really good game plan on Goff. They didn't even really do that much double teaming on Cooks. It felt like the Rams just never got comfortable in that game. I mean, my God, Eric, they punted the ball the first 8 times they had it. That just doesn't feel like it's possible for that offense. When you watch the game, was it just as simple as, was the moment too big, or just did McVay get just simply outcoached in the game?
Yeah, to me, he got outcoached pretty significantly. And I know that I said last week that I was just fascinated with what this coaching matchup might become, with one of the young stars in McVay and one of the veteran stalwarts in Bill Belichick. And I just felt like Bill Belichick outcoached him pretty significantly. He didn't allow Gurley to get going. He didn't allow Anderson to get going. Brandon Cooks, yes, he had 120 yards, but outside of that, some of our X factors, again, Reynolds, 28 yards. Some of the guys that the Rams really needed to step up didn't get there. Goff was only 50% in his throws, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Like you said, 4 sacks, 31 yards. They just didn't ever have any offensive momentum. And so the fact that the Rams defense held the Patriots to 3 points at halftime, and then even after the third quarter, it was 3-3. It's like, wow, the Rams are still in this game, even though Gurley is who knows where. I think he's on the side of a milk box right now as a missing person. C.J. Anderson was not the same C.J. Anderson of the previous 3 playoff games, but they were still in the game, 3-3 after the third quarter, and yet they just could never score points. To me, that's a coaching problem, because when you're punting 8 straight times, when you've got Goff and Gurley and Cooks, and you can't score an offensive touchdown throughout an entire 4 quarters, you're getting out-coached.
They made the Patriots defense look like they were the number 1 defense in the league, after it seemed like most teams that had a decent offense could shred the Patriots when they needed. I got to be honest with you, Eric. I know that there's a lot of hype about McVay, and a lot of it that he has earned from the fact of what he's done for this Rams team. But I'm a little bit concerned that he might be ruining Jared Goff in terms of his progress and his growth in the league. And the reason I think that is, think about all the throws that he missed in that game that Romo kept pointing out, that it felt like premeditated decisions, like, I'm going here with the football. I don't care what the coverage is. There were guys that were wide open that would have been significant gains on those plays. It's been well documented, the fact that McVay likes to talk to Goff right up till his mic cuts off at 15 seconds. And sometimes I wonder if McVay is putting in his mind, okay, it looks like they're going with this, and he's giving him a read that maybe not there. And in that other 15 seconds, the defenses are doing things that are confusing Goff at the line, and he's not making adjustments. He's just rolling with whatever McVay told him last, and he's premeditating where he's throwing the football at, and he's missing throws. Even the play that Cook was wide open, Jared Goff was a good 2 seconds late on that throw, and Brandon Cooks was pretty much open off the break. Coming off the line when he ran through the linebackers,
Yep.
No one really picked him up, and he was standing and waiting for the football. And I don't know how much room McCourty made up. I mean, he must have run 30 or 40 yards to knock that ball loose, but he was way late on that throw. He had guys open across the middle. Even the throw when the Patriots blitzed and he had basically the dagger interception at the end. I mean, he felt like, I'm going here with the football, and I don't care what the coverage is. I don't care what the Patriots are showing me. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, because if it just felt like in that moment he was relying way too much on McVay versus getting up to the line and sort of surveying things and going through his reads. It felt like one read and go. That's what I felt like I saw in that game, and that definitely concerns me, Eric.
Well, I would agree with that. And if that's what's going on, he is going to stunt Goff's growth. Goff has come a long way since his first couple years, and we know that Fisher is not a good quarterback's coach. And it's like Goff really took a huge step. But if that's going on and the confusion is happening, I could totally understand that. To me, Justin, the bigger concern is Todd Gurley. As we said, he was a ghost in this game, the disappearing act. He's now a magician. I don't know what is going on with Todd Gurley. They keep claiming he's healthy. If he is truly healthy and this was the game plan, then Sean McVay is not an offensive genius. He's a freaking idiot.
That's one way to analyze it. But no, you're right. This either feels like Gurley is hurt or this is Malcolm Butler 2.0 going on, because there is no way. This was a question we talked about last week, and I point blank ask you, can the Rams win this football game if Todd Gurley is basically a non-factor? And we both agreed, no way. No way can you take the most dynamic player off that Rams offense, give him basically no snaps in this game, but really give him very little usage, and then come out and claim the opportunities weren't there. This was not a 35-3 game in the third quarter where you're just going to have to throw the football. And at that point, Gurley's your best pass catching back anyway, so he would be in there. This is a 3-3 game where you just need a drive, where field goals are insanely important as the game went on. Just any points at that point would have been massive. And you take your best player and you don't have him on the field, and your best reasoning is, well, we didn't have the opportunity, or basically game flow wasn't there.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley creates your game
Stupid.
flow. Yeah. It is the dumbest excuse. And I understand that McVay is probably protecting Gurley because he is probably hurt. There's something going on there that they don't want to disclose. They did come out and say he wouldn't need surgery in the offseason. But Eric, there's something there. Similar to what we saw this week, where Cam Newton came out and said he couldn't throw the football over 30 yards. It's something that we all knew was a problem when every time they needed a Hail Mary, they had to bring in a backup that we didn't even know who it was because Cam couldn't throw the football there. It's going to be the same thing. Something down the road, and I tweeted you and I said over under 2 weeks before something comes out about him. It sounds like it might be the over at this point, but it's got to come out that he's hurt or something's wrong. There's no way you can take that guy and not put him in as a bigger part of your game plan, because the Patriots had set up to stop the run, and Gurley's not even getting any touches at that point. So it made absolutely no sense how they didn't have him ready, Eric, if he's not hurt.
Yeah, and I'm going to take the under, though, because the media is already starting to press and already starting to put these stories out there that, oh, should the Rams look to trade Gurley and stuff? Once that stuff starts hitting the fan, they're going to have to talk. They're going to have to say something.
Well,
because
is Gurley a clutch guy? Because Rich Paul just leak it to Woj.
Yeah, where does LeBron want Gurley to play next year? No, but here's the thing. Game flow, again, the reason I was so strong about McVay being a freaking idiot, if Gurley is not hurt, the Rams had 18 rushing attempts in that game total, and Sony Michel had 18 rushing attempts for 94 yards and a touchdown just by himself against Donald and Sue and the Rams front. So don't tell me that there wasn't an opportunity to run. Like you said, this was a 3-3 game through 3 quarters of football. If you're not going to run the ball in a game like that, when are you going to run the football with Todd Gurley?
Right.
He had 10 rushes for 35 yards. His long was 16. So that means he actually had 9 attempts for 19 yards or whatever. That's crazy. Those are horrible stats. He had 1 catch for -1 yards. Ineffective. Completely ineffective for Todd Gurley. If he's not injured, this is a major, major story.
No, Eric, I can't disagree with anything you said. It just was mind-boggling to me. They didn't have him a bigger part of the game plan if he's not hurt. And look, I know all these guys, all these teams, they want to protect the athletes, and they don't want to put out there that he's got potential knee issues because he's got to play again next year. They just signed him to a very lucrative deal, so they have plans for him to be on this team for a while. And look, this Rams team's going to be around for a while as well. They've got a lot of young talent on this team. They'll lose some guys this offseason. They can't keep everybody for some of the deals that they sign, but they've got a young core. They'll get Cooper Kupp back. They've got all their young pieces that are in place there, and Donald is going to be there for a long time. So I don't expect the Rams to go anywhere next year. I think, Eric, from the standpoint of the NFC, they're going to have to deal with the Rams for a while at this point. It's just, can Goff take the next step? Will McVay learn from a lot of these mistakes? You're going to have a Saints team next year that's coming out of the box. They're going to be looking for revenge. That's going to be their narrative of the team, a revenge tour for what the league did to them. Can they get Breeze back to a Super Bowl? And then you flip it to the AFC side. Brady doesn't seem like he's going anywhere either. His talk was he still wants to go until he's 45 years old. And really right now in the AFC, it looks like it's a two-team race right now for the foreseeable future until somebody else makes a move where it's going to be Chiefs-Patriots if they stay healthy in the AFC Championship for the next at least few years until Brady is gone. So we're just off of the Super Bowl. We're not even into OTAs. We haven't got the free agency or anything, even the draft. But where are you thinking at? Are you thinking it could be a rematch next year? Do you think the Chiefs will dethrone the Patriots? Can Brady get 7? Where are you thinking right now?
Yeah, I love the question because I'm not sure that we see either of these two teams in the Super Bowl next year. I think the Rams got to love where they got to this year because we talked about after the playoffs last year that, boy, they're really close. And then they did get to the Super Bowl the year after. So I think that's a big success for them. However, this was maybe a game that they're going to look back on and feel like, wow, we really let one slip away. Patriots scored 13 points, 10 of them in the fourth quarter. This was a game that had we had our offense clicking a lot more, we really could have won this Super Bowl. Now next year, as you said, they're going to have a number of teams in the NFC that are going to be battling them. And I don't think their run will, not that it was easy this year, but I don't think their run will even be as easy as it was this year. So I don't think the Rams get back to the Super Bowl next year. And if they do, good on them. But I think they're going to have a much harder road to get there. Patriots, I got to say, I was wrong on this in terms of I thought Belichick and Brady would come out pretty soon after this Super Bowl if they were winners and say that they were done, that they would ride off into the sunset, 6 Super Bowls out of 9 attempts. No one's ever done that. That's unbelievably incredible. They've got as many Super Bowls now as the storied Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone has always talked about the Steelers. Well, in the last 18 years, the Patriots have just gone on and won 6 of their own. So I really felt like that would be the end for Brady and Belichick. But if they come back and they keep doing this, they are going to have a little bit of a harder road. I think the Jets are going to be better. I don't think the Bills or the Dolphins are going to be better. So just divisionally, I think the Jets will give them a little bit more fight. The Patriots, I think, will win that division. Then we get into the playoffs. I think the Steelers are going to be a bit of a mess. Now Antonio Brown's in trouble, possible domestic abuse for him. And he's already talking about wanting maybe out of Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell out of Pittsburgh. It's just that team is not going to be a factor. But you get into that AFC South, some of those teams with the Colts and the Texans, what are they going to do? And then I really feel like Denver's going to get better. I feel like Oakland has to get better. And then I feel like the Chiefs are probably in the driver's seat. Mahomes, I think he's the next guy that's going to do a lot of things statistically in the NFL if he stays healthy. So I say the Chiefs are in the driver's seat to go to the Super Bowl next year out of the AFC. But if the NFC, you had to ask me today who's going to go, I have no idea out of the NFC. But Patriots, boy, I hope they enjoyed it while it lasted because 9 might be where they top out of overall appearances. And honestly, 9 out of 18, that's not that bad because the only other guy that I know that's been to as many in a shorter period of time in the world of sports is LeBron James, Justin. That's going to do it for this episode of Talk Back. I'm sure you'll rebut a lot of what I just said there in the next episodes as we get a lot more NBA talk. We're getting to the All-Star break. We're getting to the end of the season as we start to get these playoff runs going in the NBA, and we can really start to speculate what that's going to look like. But that'll do it for this episode of Talk Back. We've got Daytona and NASCAR coming up soon, so we'll keep our eyes out for that as well. We appreciate you listening, and we hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for listening to this episode of Talk Back. Staying current on sports is our #1 goal, so we drop a new episode each Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or the podcatcher of your choice. For more info about the show, to